respected, and the Bhagavatam was still respected in India, but maybe it's going to be completely different in America. He just would be a foreigner there. And, America has no tradition of sadhus, no temples, no free ashrams. But when he was thinking about his books, this transcendental knowledge in English, he becomes more and more confident, just so confident. He's going armed with his Srimad Bhagavatams. So that was his support, or he was, the servant of the Bhagavatam. And then he understood too that if he would meet people in America, he had his flyer, which was entitled Srimad Bhagavatam, India's Message of Peace and Goodwill. So it's August 13th, and this is just a few days before Janmashtami is to occur in that year in India. And actually, in the last several years, Prabhupada had been celebrating Janmashtami in Vrindavan. And, many residents, sadhus in Vrindavan, they would never, ever leave Vrindavan. They're very old and peaceful living in Vrindavan. And there's kind of this thing where you don't cross the ocean, As a sannyasi, you just stay in the dhams and spend the rest of your life there. You don't go to the West and get influenced. So Prabhupada, he could die away from Vrindavan, and this was like something that sadhus and the widows there, they would never do. They'd taken vows, never to leave Vrindavan. But here's Prabhupada leaving. Even the sadhus wouldn't go to Mathura, who's relatively nearby, because their whole tradition was, if you leave in Vrindavan, that's the perfection of your life. And, if you're a sannyasi, don't cross the ocean. That's the tradition. You do not go to the land of the Malechas. You don't do that. But transcendental to all this is Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati's desire and instruction that Prabhupada go and take Lord Chaitanya's message of the chanting of Hare Krishna, so that it will be known in every town and village of the world. So this is like transcending all these so-called Hindu traditions of not traveling across the ocean and all of these things. So then Prabhupada, he takes a taxi to the Calcutta port with his luggage, and he's got a Bengali copy of Chaitanya Charitamrita. And that is for his reading as he's crossing the ocean. So he's thinking somehow maybe he'll be able to do his own cooking on board the ship. And if not, well, then he'll just starve in the meantime, whatever Krishna wants. And he checks and he sees he's got all his essentials. He's got his passenger ticket, passport, visa, P-form, sponsor's address. And then finally, after all of that bureaucracy, finally, it's happening on August 13th, which I was told was a Friday, in 1965, to leave Calcutta port on Jaladuta. So Prabhupada's thinking, wow, what a difficulty, just to get out of this country, all this bureaucracy. But by Krishna's grace, he's getting out to spread Krishna consciousness all over the world. And otherwise, he's thinking, to just stay in India. This isn't going to be possible to spread all over the world. And he wants to start a movement, right? All over. He wanted to start in India, but it just didn't happen. He wasn't at all encouraged by the people, asking them, can you give one of your sons? I'll train him to become Vaishnava, Brahmin. No, Swamiji. You have to have him work and do his, dharma. So Prabhupada was not encouraged to stay there at all. He did not see that this is how he's going to spread Krishna consciousness around the world in just staying in India. So this famous Jaladuta, it's described as a black cargo ship, Krishna black, and very small, and it's like a really weathered old ship. And wow, you're thinking, how is this going to get across the Atlantic? So there was a gangway that was leading from the dock to the ship's deck. And the Indian merchant sailors, they're very curiously eyeing this very elderly saffron-dressed sadhu as he's speaking his last words to his companion in the taxi. And then he Prabhupada, walks very determinedly toward the boat as these merchant sailors are all watching. Wow, what is this? You don't usually see someone like that going on an old weathered cargo ship. So it was a regular cargo carrier, though, from Scindia Steam Navigation Company, which was run by Sumati Mukherjee. And there was one passenger cabin aboard. So this is like just made for Prabhupada, just exactly what was needed by Krishna's arrangement. So during the voyage from Calcutta to New York in August and September of 1965, it said that this cabin was occupied by Sri Abhay Charanaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami, whose age was listed as 69 and who was taken on board bearing a complimentary ticket with food. So here's Jaladuta, the weathered little ship under Captain Arun Pandya's command, and his wife is also on board. So they leave at 9 a.m. on Friday, August 13th. So if you ever think Friday, August 13th is superstitiously inauspicious, well, here's the confirmation that it's very auspicious. So then in Prabhupada's Jaladuta diary, he notes the cabin is quite comfortable, thanks to Lord Sri Krishna for enlightening Sumati Mukherjee for all these arrangements. I am quite comfortable. But on the 14th, he reported, this is just the next day, seasickness, dizziness, vomiting, Bay of Bengal, heavy rains, more sickness. Oh. Then on the 19th, when the ship arrived at Colombo, Ceylon, which is now Sri Lanka, Prabhupada, he's able to get a little relief from his seasickness. He goes off the ship with Captain Pandya on shore, and he travels a little bit around Colombo by car, and starts to feel a little bit better after all this seasickness. Then the ship went on to Cochin, which is on the west coast of India. And Janmashtami, the appearance day of Lord Krishna, is on the 20th that year of August. So Prabhupada, he takes the opportunity to speak to the whole crew all about the philosophy of Lord Krishna, and he even distributes prasadam that he cooked himself. And then on August 21st, that was his 70th birthday, and that, he said, was observed without any ceremony at sea. And that same day, the ship arrived at Cochin, and Bhaktivedanta Swami's trunks of Srimad Bhagavatam volumes, which had been shipped from Bombay, were loaded on board. Wow, this is the valuable treasured cargo. And then by the 23rd, the ship had put out to the Red Sea, where Prabhupada, again, he's encountering great difficulty there. And he notes in his diary, again, rain, seasickness, dizziness, headache, no appetite, vomiting. In 2 days, what happens? He suffers 2 heart attacks. So he tolerates all this difficulty. He's meditating on his mission. But after these violent attacks, he's thinking, if there's a third one to come, he probably certainly won't survive this trip. Then, on the night of the second day, he had a dream. And then Lord Krishna appears in his many forms in the dream, and he's rowing a boat. And he tells Prabhupada, don't fear, but just come along, come along. You know, I'm in charge here, Krishna says. I'm giving protection. I'm rowing this boat. And after that, no more violent attacks recur by Lord Krishna's protection. Then the Jaladuta goes into the Suez Canal. This is on September 1st. And it stops at Port Said on the 2nd of September. And then Prabhupada goes in with the captain again to visit the city, which he liked. And then on the 6th of September, he recovered a little bit more from his illness, and he was again eating a little bit for the first time. And he was cooking his own khichdi and puris. And then what does he say as he's renewing his strength little by little? So on Friday, September 10th, he writes in his diary, today, the ship is plying very smoothly. I feel today better, but I'm feeling separation from Sri Vrindavan and my Lord Sri Govinda Gopinath Radha Damodar. The only solace is Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, in which I am tasting the nectarine of Lord Chaitanya's Leela. I have left Bharat Bhumi just to execute the order of Sri Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati in pursuance of Lord Chaitanya's order. I have no qualification, but I've taken up the risk just to carry out the order of his divine grace. I depend fully on their mercy so far away from Vrindavan. So, the ocean voyage, he's crossing the Atlantic. This was so calm. And the captain says he'd never seen such a calm crossing in his entire career. So Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, he's replying that this calmness is Lord Krishna's mercy. And then Mrs. Pandya, she asks Prabhupada to come back with them so they might have another good crossing. So Prabhupada writes in his diary, if the Atlantic would have shown its usual face, perhaps I would have died. But Lord Krishna has taken charge of the ship. So 35-day journey approximately from Calcutta, the Jaladuta reaches Boston's Commonwealth Pier at 5:30 a.m. on September 17th, 1965. And they're just stopping briefly in Boston before proceeding to New York City. So it was this day that Prabhupada, on board the ship, carrying in his heart the orders of his guru to spread the teachings of Lord Chaitanya beyond the borders of India and throughout the world, he is looking out to this Boston bleak and dirty skyline, and he can understand the difficulty of his sacred mission. And he feels compassion for these godless people. Thus, with perfect humility, he composed this historic prayer in Bengali, praying for the deliverance of all fallen souls. So I'll read the English. My dear Lord Krishna, you are so kind upon this useless soul, but I do not know why you have brought me here. Now you can do whatever you like with me. But I guess you have some business here. Otherwise, why would you bring me to this terrible place? Most of the people here are covered by the material modes of ignorance and passion, absorbed in material life. They think themselves very happy and satisfied, and therefore they have no taste for the transcendental message of Vasudeva. I do not know how they will be able to understand it, but I know your causeless mercy can make everything possible because you are the most expert mystic. How will they understand the mellows of devotional service, O Lord? I'm simply praying for your mercy so that I will be able to convince them about your message. All living entities have become under the control of the illusory energy by your will. And therefore, if you like, by your will, they can also be released from the clutches of illusion. I wish that you may deliver them. Therefore, if you so desire their deliverance, then only will they be able to understand your message. The words of Srimad Bhagavatam are your incarnation. And if a sober person repeatedly receives them with submissive oral reception, then he will be able to understand your message. So, Prabhupada's quoting from Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, chapter 2, text 17 through 21. Srinvata swakatha Krishna punya shravana kirtana ridyantasto hyapatrani vidinoti suritsatam nasta prayesha vapadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavatyutama shloke bhaktir bhavati naistiki tatara justamo bhava kama dayaschaye cheta etaranaviram stitam sattve prasidati evam prasana manaso bhagavata bhakti yogata bhagavatattva vijnanam mukta sangasya jayate Vidyate ritaya grantis chidyante sarva samshaya Chiyante chashikarmani turistra evatamanishvare. Translation: Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma, super soul in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee, who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam, and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. As soon as irrevocable loving service is established in the heart, the effects of nature's modes of passion and ignorance, such as lust, desire, and hankering, disappear from the heart. Then the devotee is established in goodness, and he becomes completely happy. Thus established in the mode of unalloyed goodness, the man whose mind has been enlivened by contact with devotional service to the Lord gains positive scientific knowledge of the personality of Godhead in the stage of liberation from all material association. Thus, the knot in the heart is pierced, and all misgivings are cut to pieces. The chain of fruitive actions is terminated when one sees the self as master. So then Prabhupada's Markine Bhagavad Dharma continues. They will become liberated from the influence of the modes of ignorance and passion, and thus all inauspicious things accumulated in the core of the heart will disappear. How will I make them understand this message of Krishna consciousness? I am very unfortunate, unqualified, and the most fallen. Therefore, I am seeking your benediction so that I can convince them, for I am powerless to do so on my own. Somehow or other, O Lord, you have brought me here to speak about you. Now, my Lord, it is up to you to make me a success or failure as you like. O spiritual master of all the worlds, I can simply repeat your message. So, if you like, you can make my power of speaking suitable for their understanding. Only by your causeless mercy will my words become pure. I am sure that when this transcendental message penetrates their hearts, they will certainly feel engladdened and thus become liberated from all unhappy conditions of life. Oh Lord, I'm just like a puppet in your hands. So, if you have brought me here to dance, then make me dance. Make me dance. Oh Lord, make me dance as you like. I have no devotion, nor do I have any knowledge, but I have strong faith in the holy name of Krishna. I have been designated as Bhaktivedanta, and now, if you like, you can fulfill the real purport of Bhakti Vedanta. So, Prabhupada, he came armed with his Srimad Bhagavatams as their servant, and he came during this time of year that we are in now, and he comes in the month of September, and he is very, very concerned for the conditioned souls, obviously, because just, glancing out into this land, he sees that these people are very, very under the modes, completely under the modes of material nature. So this is very, very much his mood. So he's come armed with the books and also his pamphlets, his little pamphlets, 500 copies of the pamphlet for distribution. And so in the pamphlet, it has Lord Chaitanya's verses, and then the advertisement for the Bhagavatam in context of an advertisement for Scindia Company. So he has on this pamphlet all over the world for scientific knowledge of God. He puts underneath his picture, and carried by the Scindia Steam Navigation Company Limited, Bombay. So and it seems like he's saying, yeah, this Scindia company is going all over the world, but it's really Prabhupada going all over the world to spread this knowledge. And then in the pamphlet, he says, the sufferings of the entire human society can at once be brought under control simply by individual practice of bhakti yoga, a simple and easy process of chanting the holy name of God. Every country, every nation, and every community throughout the world has some conception of the holy name of God, and as such, either the Hindus or the Mohammedans or the Christians, everyone can easily chant the holy name of God in a meditative mood, and that will bring about the required peace and goodwill in the present problematic human society. So any inquiry in this connection will be gladly answered by Sri Swamiji. The Hindus generally chant the holy name of God in 16 chain of transcendental sound composed of 32 alphabets as Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. The Vedic literatures like the Upanishads and the Puranas do recommend chanting of the above mentioned 16 holy names at a stretch. And Lord Sri Chaitanya, who preached this cult of chanting the holy name of God, gave special importance on these transcendental sounds. In this age of Kali, or the age of hate, hypocrisy, corruption, and quarrel, the only remedial measure is that every man should chant the holy name of the Lord, both individually and collectively. So then next in this pamphlet comes the Shikshastakam prayers. So then at the end, Prabhupada, he says, chanting of the holy name of God is recommended for everyone, both for the mass of people and the class of people. Those who are scholars, philosophers, scientists, religionists, and educated may read the English version of Srimad Bhagavatam by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, with particular attention to the purports appended with each and every verse. They have appreciated the publication as follows. At a time when not only the people of India, but those of the West need the chastening quality of love and truth in a corrupting atmosphere of hate and hypocrisy, a work like this will have uplifting, corrective influence. What is God? He is truth. He is love. Even an atheist must accept the supremacy of these qualities and how much they are needed by the people of the world who have been taught to deny God, and these qualities do not require much emphasis. The author has attempted a tremendous task. A perusal will give us, in the same measure, a knowledge of the original. The essence of Srimad Bhagavatam is the exposition of the absolute truth. We would recommend this book. The editor's vast and deep study of the subject and critical insight are reflected in these notes. We have no doubt that with the publication of these volumes, the rightful interpretations of the Bhagavatam, which has been the gift of Sri Chaitanya and his Goswami followers, has now been available to the English-knowing world for the first time. The elaborate method is very helpful to the ardent student of Bhagavatam who lack in Sanskrit language. As is admitted in all hands that Bhagavatam is the most difficult text amongst the Puranas, the author richly deserves the gratitude of the devotees for his pious, learned labor of love. Now, these are really nice reviews here. It doesn't say who gave the review, but this is the last part of it. These volumes speak very highly of Swamiji's scholarship and especially of his love of cultural pursuits. When we look into the enormous labor and sacrifice in producing them single-handed, and that too at ripe old age of 68, we earnestly pray to the Almighty that he may spare Swamiji for all the years he may require to finish the magnum opus of 60 volumes and earn the love and gratitude of his fellow men in pursuit of divine love and grace, nay, of the entire human society. You have done a first-class work, and you deserve the hearty commendations of every Indian and every Hindu. Your deep and penetrating study of the subject and your philosophic insight are reflected in this book. Wow. So, little advertisement given by someone who appreciates Prabhupada's Bhagavatam that he puts in his pamphlet. So this time of year, here we are in 2023, and devotees around the world are distributing Srimad Bhagavatam for the Bhadra Purnima Marathon, and their world goal is 55,000 sets distributed, going on to a goal in 2026 for, I don't know what it is exactly, a huge goal. Maybe it's like 100,000 or something plus for 2026. So in other words, here's Prabhupada coming in 65 on Jaladuta with his 200 sets of Srimad Bhagavatam. And then here we go in 2023 onwards with tens of thousands of sets distributed just within the marathon period, and then moving on to 100 or hundreds of thousands of sets in future marathons. So this is the potency. And as Prabhupada said, he was the servant of the Bhagavatam. It was the Bhagavatam that came over, he said, on the Jaladuta, and he's just serving. And here's the Bhagavatam, you could say, serving Srila Prabhupada's mission and the whole world, and Prabhupada preaching in his purports, serving the Bhagavatam. So Krishna and his devotee, Krishna in the literary form, and his devotee, Srila Prabhupada, and his followers, having this service relationship in the Sankirtan mission, where they're back and forth serving each other. Prabhupada serving Bhagavatam, Bhagavatam serving Prabhupada and the world, and the devotees serving Prabhupada and Bhagavatam, and so on and on and on, and it's unlimited. And certainly Srila Prabhupada must be very, very happy about that. But as he would always say, double it. So Prabhupada has the confidence. He came over here with the confidence on board the Jaladuta with his books, and he's giving the confidence, and he always has the confidence in Krishna, in his Bhagavatam, Rupa manifestation, literary manifestation, to increase and increase for the benefit of all the conditioned souls and for the enlivenment of all the devotees. So all glories to Srila Prabhupada and his wonderful Vyasa Puja, and all glories to Srimad Bhagavatam, and all glories to all the devotees all over the world who are serving Srimad Bhagavatam. And whatever they do, any service you do is ultimately serving Bhagavatam. And Srila Prabhupada. So thank you for that. And if there's anything to add, anyone would like to add some leelas or anything, glorification of Srila Prabhupada as we're winding down this Vyasa Puja for 2023, please do. If there's anything in the chat, I can't get it, but somebody else can read if you want.
I don't see anything in the chat.
Okay, thank you very much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, obeisances and glories to Prabhupada and your Guru Maharaj, all glories to Prabhupada's Vyasa Puja.
Humble obeisances, all glories to the Prabhupada. I just had a quick question. You read the talking about the ripe age of 68 to the Prabhupada scholarship, and that it seems that it was written by the Institute of Oriental Philosophy in Vrindavan, which was Ban Maharaj's school. Did Ban Maharaj actually write that for Srila Prabhupada? Do we know?
Well, on the flyer, the leaflet, it doesn't have any reference to who. So maybe that's somewhere else in Prabhupada's Leela books or whatever. I'm not sure about Leela Amrita. I haven't checked that. I don't have that volume with me right now. Yeah, I was curious.
Okay, I'll have to do a little bit of research.
Yeah, thank you. That would be great.
Thank you for a beautiful class. Awesome.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thanks for